Hello, my stamping friends. This is Renee Novak at blessedbycards.com. I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator in the United States, and I'm coming to you today from St. Louis, Missouri. And today I have 3 cards that I want to create using the Designer Series paper, the Floral Charms, and that's part of the Charming Day bundle. So last week I used the Charming Day dies and stamps to create 3 cards, and today I am sharing with you 3 cards using the Designer Series paper from that bundle. Okay, so the first thing I did on this card is I started with a Blackberry Bliss card base, and then I cut my Designer Series paper to 3.5 by 5.5, and then I cut 2 strips of the Berry Burst card stock and 2 strips of the Mossy Meadow, and I chose those 2 colors because I was picking out the colors in my Designer Series paper, and I just mounted those on my card front. And then I took a basic white piece, stamped the Happy Birthday from With You in Mind, and took another piece of the Mossy Meadow, and I mounted it on the greeting onto the Mossy Meadow, and then I tore it. I just gently tore down to make a little different dimension on the greeting. And all the supplies and the measurements are available on my blog in a free download project sheet. So you'll get the exact measurements of those pieces that I used there. And then I just added a little bit of green bling, and that was my first card. On my second card, I used the circles from the Spotlight on Nature dies. And I took one piece of the Designer Series paper, 4 by 5.25, and then I cut it at 2.5, and then I flipped it over. I used one side for the bottom and one side for the top. So depending on which piece that you pick, from that pack, this might look different. But I chose this with the pretty peacock on the top and the flowers on the bottom. And my card base is pretty peacock. I added a layer of petal pink, and then I took a strip of about 3/8 of an inch by 4 and covered up that Designer Series seam for the 2 papers coming together. The You Make Me Smile is from Happy Hibiscus, and I stamped from the Charming Day stamps and dies, and I colored that and cut it out, and that was from the Charming Day bundle. Okay, so that's our second card. And the third card is a petal pink again, and I took a layer of Berry Burst, and then I took a 4 by 5.25 piece of the Designer Series paper and just mounted it all on the card front. Then I took a strip of the Berry Burst and I tore it on both of the edges. So hopefully you can see that there's a torn edge there and a torn edge here. So I just simply took my paper and just tore it, and I glued it to the center of that Designer Series paper. The Happy Birthday is stamped with Memento Black, and I cropped it with one of the dies from the Textured Notes. I stamped the flowers in the Memento Black as well and colored them in with the Berry Burst and the Mossy Meadow markers. Well, they're actually the alcohol blends. So that is the third card. I cropped that out with the coordinating die. That's the third card of that series. So I used a little bit of the die and the bundle. I use the bundle on this one, and on this one I just use the Designer Series paper with the With You in Mind stamp set. So I hope you enjoy these cards. If you haven't already gotten the Charming Day collection that includes the bling and the dies and the paper, hop on over to my blog at blessedbycards.com and you'll find that available for you to purchase. So thanks so much for watching. Join me next week for another Make It Monday tutorial. And until then, be blessed.